couple of things that you want to say to the crowd, or really just want to hear responses?
Yeah, curious to get people's impressions, or if you have questions about the show. Good.
I actually have a question. I understand, I'm not sure why I know this, but you wrote this play actually quite a while ago, a number of years ago. And I think we could all understand how you could write it today with what's going on. Was there anything specific that was going on at the time that you wrote? I mean, what precipitated you to think, wow, I want to write about this?
Yeah, I wrote this play almost 20 years ago. So after, I want to say it was after Clinton Dole. It was just, I think I really frustrated back then by how the political system seemed to work, and you had this billionaire crazy person running under Ross Perot in 2 elections, kind of upsetting the whole thing, and then the press was just so clearly swayed by the different machinery of the political system, and so to me the system seemed so corrupt and so bizarre that I was just really inspired. And now, you know, the system we're at today seems so much weirder than it did back then. And so this play seemed much stranger back then. I would say when it probably premiered in 97, 98. And now it has a very different kind of thing.
Hello. Come join us.
I'll just put the Bible right here.
Hey. Yeah, actors in the house can come join us up on stage if you like.
Oh,
yeah.
Was any of it changed since you initially wrote it?
No, we didn't change it. So the play was done in New York and Chicago and in California, and it was done in Boston in 2005. But we didn't end up changing anything. There were just a few minor technical things that we changed, just like reference to like beepers or something. But otherwise, we didn't have to change anything.
So this is Robin Abrams, one of the actors, and Justus Perry, and also 2 other actors in the audience who.
I know the one right over there. God.
What? Where? Oh.
It's Kimberly.
Oh, I understand. Yeah. So thank you for joining us, sticking around. Any other questions or responses? Yes.
How many productions of this play have you seen through?
I think I've seen 4 or 5. I would say. So it's fun to see it different ways. You know, everybody's got a different take on how to do it, and you know, I think I love this production. It's just so fun, and then so it's weird to just watch the politics of the world change. That's been the most interesting thing. Just to watch a play that seemed offbeat become more relevant, and then just weird things of synchronicity. Like even when we did the play in Boston in 2005, it was weird because the Pope had just died, and so there was an election for the Pope during the play, and so everyone's like, "Did you write that first scene at the start back to because of that?" And I was like, "No, I wrote that a couple of years ago." So that seemed like enough synchronicity at the time, but now we have what's going on now.
Yeah. And it's interesting because just to give you a little insight into Flat Earth's play selection policy, you know, we're an egalitarian company. We're run as a group. Everyone has equal say in the company. So the way plays are chosen is anyone who's a company member can kind of submit something. Patrick and I had met to discuss another play that I was working on with him. I'm also a director, and he threw this my way. I read it. I thought, this was a year and a half ago. And I thought it would be really fun, you know, because the elections were coming up. And she's
like, "Do you have something with a strong woman lead character?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do. You know, Second Blinders, it's a lot of fun."
You can come on up if you want. You don't have to. There's also other directors in the audience.
Yeah.
This is Matt Arnold. The actress.
Maybe you can tell them apart.
Yeah, but yeah, so I mean, I thought it would just be fun to do a show like this, and a little sort of interesting to do a show like this in an election year, and little did I know how relevant it would be. And the rest of the company too, I think. We just had no idea.
Yeah, I remember reading it and I was like, yeah, this is fun, it'll be fun for an election year. And then as soon as the machine really started rolling, I was like, this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
It's very therapeutic.
Yeah, can you speak more to that?
What?
Can you speak more to that? Like why is it therapeutic? I mean, I think I can guess, but...
Yeah, well, it's just therapeutic to have some kind of artistic lens through which to to view the news. It's a kind of distancing mechanism, and it makes you feel like you're doing something. You know, there's some little part of the world that we have some control over.
Yeah, this show helps me feel
Yeah.
less crazy because
Right.
I'm like, everybody else sees that this is like insane what's going on out there, right? And then to see, like, to have a show where it's like, yes, we have all this idea,
it's
but
like-
we know that everybody else is still participating in it is very, therapeutic is definitely the right way to put it.
Yeah. What's it like for you, Patrick, to have had your work like become so crazily relevant?
It's a little scary.
Yeah,
Don't write anymore.
It's fun, but maybe I didn't want it to be quite that relevant.
yeah.
And I'm also glad that but it is exciting to write a piece of work that can still be done years later. I think as a playwright, when you start out as a young writer, you don't really know that your work may or may not survive for a certain amount of time. And so it's exciting for me, I think, as I'm become a playwright and I've been a playwright for a while now, to see how things change and that the work kind of evolves with it. And I appreciate how this production stood true to the script and didn't work on like putting people in orange hair or whatever, and just let it stand on its own and let the audience bring their own things to it. I thought that was really important.
Are there any other thoughts or questions from the audience? Yes.
Patrick, any temptation to write a part 2?
Yes.
We'll see after November.
Blinders 2, the blinding.
The election.
Blinders 2 election movie.
Where was it staged in Boston in 2005?
Boston Playwrights Theater. It was there. A company called Out of the Blue Productions, which is no longer, but they did it. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, what would the sequel be? And what was interesting too is at the time, obviously, when it was written, we didn't have a woman candidate for president. And that's been really interesting too, to kind of think about, well, how does this reflect not just on kind of the obvious political characters, but also like Hillary Clinton, and what does that mean, and how did the press work around her, and what does she have to do to become president? And to me, that's really interesting to think about that. And of course, Clinton, she was on the scene back when I wrote this play, but I didn't have her in mind.
Yeah, I think it's also very interesting how Karen as a woman is treated versus Karen as Alex is treated. It's
Yeah.
just very interesting to me, and I think speaks to that.
Yeah, no, I was definitely interested in that.
Yeah.
That notion of like, how would the first woman president become president?
Oh, God. Oh, it's depressing.
At the time.
Yeah.
All about the pantsuit.
All about the suit, yeah.
It's in a good golf game.
Yeah, good to know. Any other thoughts or questions for Patrick or for any of the actors in the Yes.
I have a question. In the ending, when you wrote it, were you thinking optimistically, as in the system is resilient and it survives and it continues, or were you thinking pessimistic, right? We all get co-opted and inherently it's a broken system.
What's your take? What did you think?
Mine was it's pessimistic, right?
Okay.
That we all get co-opted.
What did other people? I'm curious, as an audience, your takes on this. Does it feel optimistic or pessimistic, or?
I thought optimistic. I mean, I thought that she was kind of saying, you know, I'm going to do the right thing, you know, whether lead you in the direction I want to, and assume you follow or something.
Start moving in the right direction.
Yeah, it's optimism hidden by pessimism. That she, like, I've had to sneak my way in here, but I'm going to try and do something nice.
Well, do something nice, but I'm still not going to tell you the truth.
That's right.
Yeah, she doesn't tell the truth in the end, that's true.
Right, to me, it's really a scary ending in that the only way that the truth is not a tool that can effectively be used in politics.
And actually, yeah, other audience members, we've been talking about the ending a lot.
Okay,
I don't think
good.
we've talked about
Oh,
this.
no.
And they overwhelmingly think it's a pessimistic, scary ending. Yeah. So I think that's really interesting.
Because I think your point of her being co-opted is, I mean, she's no longer who she said she was. I mean, she said she believes in truth, and she has a chance at the very end, right there. And Kimberly can talk about, you know, I think as an actor, you have that moment of deciding, you know, what are you going to do? All right. But it's an interesting trade-off, right? You have the choice to tell the truth, or you have the choice to do good in the world, maybe. That's an odd choice, but is that the choice that we're faced with? I
question. That's a great question. Yes.
Question for Patrick and Marge both. Was that whining written into the
No.
magnificent?
Oh, that was,
That was scary.
it
I
was
thought it was
something
a
I
sound
kind of
cue the
started
first
doing,
time you did
and I
it.
didn't really talk about it. I just sort of did it one rehearsal, and there was a point where after the scene, someone was like, "What was that weird sound cue?" And I was like, "That came out of my body." Yeah.
So Marge Dunn at her best.
And then, of course, it was an awful challenge to myself. I was like, I can't breathe anymore. I must sustain terrible noise.
What was it like for some of the ensemble members to find the physicality for their characters, and also for our twins over here?
Oh, I have a fun story because we did a whole day of physical moving, and there was a point when me and Matt were talking about the same scene and how we were actually coming at it from complete opposite angles of it, and it would realize that like no matter how much we try and act like each other, it's just going to highlight our differences, and that's what I really liked about how we were working together. Even though like Matt is absolutely the leg cross, all of those things, but no matter what, we're just going to end up looking even more different the more we try and act like each other.
God, are you sharing the same chair right now?
Yes, we
They
are.
are. I could have gotten them another one. It was just so funny.
It's great. I mean,
Yeah,
I love
it was
this.
good.
When this show ends, it's gonna be like losing a limb.
You're gonna have like phantom mats and very, very awkward.
Robin, you had a lot of fun making your characters, right?
I did.
I just
No. This is
No,
a horrible experience.
No.
I mean to talk to you people about it.
No, we're Facebook friends now, and I've just been noticing a lot of your posts, and do you want to
Yeah.
speak to a couple of them, or?
I don't know. I think what I found particularly fun about this show is that since so many of the characters it's so episodic, and people are only on stage if they're, directly advancing their action, that I just come up with like a ton of like ideas about, it's very fun to sort of make up ideas about your characters in this show because there's so little given about their backgrounds or why they came here or what happens to them after they disappear from the stage or the like. It's a lot of fun for the imagination.
Yeah. And because like, a lot of those characters, like, you really, you get tiny snapshots, but you can feel so much out from them. Like, we developed, you don't know anything about Chris and Alex ahead of time, but
What did you figure out?
we had figured out, so we started in like very menial jobs and didn't have that, like any sort of like life of our own before coming into this. And it was really great to like realize like, oh, that's what makes it so easy for us to be manipulated into this position where, I'm sure maybe the first time we looked at each other, I was like, that guy looks like me? But after a while, you're going to be like, well, yeah, of course that guy looks like me.
He knows
And another thing that we talked about in building that is that it's so easy, to tell someone, you're special. Because of course I am. I've known that my whole life, and now other people are seeing that. And so they I don't think anyone buys into it more than Chris and Alex.
Yeah, there's nobody that wants to believe it more than us because it means that we get a great life out of it.
Wow, that's really awesome and scary. So when you wrote the play, did you sort of envision that Chris and Alex were in on it, or that they were also being duped?
I never looked that closely. No, I don't. I think they want to believe it.
Yeah.
I think for them it's a good thing, and I don't think they question it. I think they're told this, and a lot of the play actually started. The original impetus of the play, which used to be called Two Snowflakes, actually, was really about science in the media, and it ends up becoming a political play as it went. But I was really interested in this notion of how reporters just seem to buy whatever scientists said, and very uncritically, and over and over again, and it's the same. That hasn't changed today either.
It's gotten worse with the internet.
Right, but the broadcast media is just terrible about how they'll pick out some little scientific thing, and it's like what you should eat, right? You should eat broccoli, you should eat meat, you shouldn't eat fat, whatever. Because the people who report it are not very thoughtful, or not thoughtful enough about trying to bring depth to that story and evaluating it.
And they don't, if I may, my perception is they don't understand the fallout from what they report, because we look at the news as if it is law. many of us.
Right.
Yeah, and then if you report that broccoli is bad for you, suddenly it's gonna affect a lot of people and a lot of industry. And yeah.
Big broccoli.
Yeah, yeah.
Broccoli, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the very first try was just about these two snowflakes and then these two people exactly alike. And then it just turned into this other weird play.
So funny.
Turned into it. But yeah, so I didn't picture them as very sentient about.
That's exactly the word that I used in developing it. Like where in the scripts do Chris and Alex gain sentience?
Yes.
You can have a T-shirt that calls you a sentient
Sentient
automaton.
mannequin, yeah.
You crazy robots. All right, so let's turn back to the house. I think we have time for a couple more questions or comments or anything from the audience.
Patrick, what are you currently working on?
Let's see, we just closed a play, an historical play at the Old State House. Working on a screenplay, another historical piece. Working on a piece with the MIT Science Museum and Central Square Theater about quantum entanglement.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Just a short piece.
That's awesome.
And I have a play that'll be workshopped at the Huntington this summer about pesticide drift and loss.